Good morning, everyone. This is a special meeting of the Audit Committee for the Power Authority and the Canal Corporation. I'm Eugene Nicandri, Chair of the Audit Committee. Committee members present are the Chairman, Canal, Trustee McGibbon, and Trustee Trainer. I think Trustee Descendi is going to join us by video momentarily. I'd like to welcome the members of the committee, including Trustee Balboni. I'd like to welcome Gil and the staff who are present. This meeting has been scheduled pursuant to the Open Meetings Law of the State of New York. I'd call the meeting to order. The first item on the agenda is the adoption of the proposed meeting agenda. And I would ask that if there's any additions or deletions, if not, a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Agenda is adopted. We're going to go into an executive session for a few minutes, and then we will conclude in open session. So, motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. We're in executive session. Okay, I'd like to resume an open session. We have a motion to do that.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We're back in open session. No votes were taken during the executive session. For the discussion agenda, Angela, can we have an update?
Yes, thank you. Good morning, Judge Nicandri, Chairman Como, distinguished trustees, E&C members, and NYPA staff. I'd like to give you an update on the NYPA and Canal's internal audit plan status, as well as open recommendations, and then a status on my 100-day plan. So if we turn to the NYPA deck on slide 4, so we have 49 audits that are in our plan for NYPA. 8 audits have been issued to date. We have 7 audits that are in fieldwork and 3 that are in planning. 5 audits have moved to the reporting stage, and 2 are expected to be issued by the end of this month. This is an update to the deck that you have. So we have several reports that will be coming out in June, staggered throughout the month, beginning, middle, and end, and that will increase our percentage complete. Right now, we are at 17%. We are looking to get to 40 by the end of June. That's the goal. So we are tracking to get to that percentage. We haven't identified any significant risks for anything that hasn't been issued to date. And we are also involved in, just to mention that we're involved in, other than just doing audits, we're involved with some client support initiatives as well, in terms of sitting on committees, our audit liaison program, and any ad hoc project that we work on in terms of process mapping or policy and procedure reviews. Any questions on this before I go to the next slide?
So you're 17%. You're behind coming out of the gate. You're bringing additional resources to bear to play a bit of catch up, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So the next slide is really to talk about these are the reports that we've issued to date. We have 1 needs improvement for threat and vulnerability management. The issues that we did bring up, recommendations, are related to just enhancing the controls that are already existing within the threat and vulnerability management process. We do a really good job of monitoring internally and externally, but this is just to enhance the controls for this area within IT. So I wanted to bring that to your attention, what we've found there. So the next slide is really related to changes in our internal audit plan. We started with 51 projects. We added contingent staffing, vendor compliance, which was an ask of management for us to take a look at that. And then we've taken off indirect expense, cost allocation, cost of service, and rate model design support for CENI, and then Primavera post-implementation to bring us down to 49. The details are in Appendix B, just to give you a summary of why these have come off. As well, for indirect, I know there's a consulting engagement going on right now to look at cost allocations across NYPA facilities. That's not coming out until October, so we wanted to leverage that consulting engagement before we start looking at indirect. And cost of service and rate design has been moved into our we're doing a customer meter to cash follow-up. We're going to be taking a look at the rates in that audit, since there were 7 new contracts, 5 had already been executed, so it made sense to kind of funnel it into another audit. And then Primavera post-implementation, the system is up and running, but NIPA management is still haven't really used all the functionality of the system at this point. So to do a post-implementation would not really add any value. We probably will add that onto our 2019 plan. So we're at 49 right now.
Okay.
Next slide is in terms of the status of the audit open recommendations. I do have an update. So we have 16 2017 that are open, 14 2018 open recommendations. Now EMC approval is required for any extension that is made for a recommendation that's still open, as well as action owner monthly updates are required to be input into SharePoint. We have not seen any extensions come through yet. The whole process, the functionality was available April 1st, but the actual process took effect on May 1st for this month. So that's probably why we haven't seen any come through yet. But I do have a detailed status of the high open recommendations on slide 9, so you can take a look of the high ones that are still open. They are moving in the direction of tracking on time to close those issues. And we're also working, if you see in the charts here, we have a couple that are overdue. We're working with management to close those as well. But in the next slide is really the percentage of where we are.
So just before you go
Sure.
to the next slide, can you confirm for me again, we have no prior year, 15, 16, those are all
Completely closed. This is just current now.
Well, 17 prior year.
right.
Oh, come on. Give us some time to.
So if you look at slide E, this gives us the percentage of where we are. For 17, we're 80% closed, 20% open. So we're moving in the right direction. And in 2018, obviously, it's the reverse. We're still beginning to start closing the 2018 ones that we found so far. And then the next slide this is what I was referring to. These are the status of the high order recommendations that are open for on the NIPA side. Customer credit, I know an extension is pending. It should be coming through. And then for employee data protection, we've gotten some documentation we've looked at. So far, we've requested some additional to be able to close these, but they are tracking to be remediated by the date that they're due. So, and then the next slide is related to my 100-day plan status. So we do have 5 open positions that are still open as a result of backfilling 2 director positions, a manager position, hiring 1 auditor, and then promoting 1 auditor to senior. We have 4 candidates that have been selected to come in for in-person interviews for the director position. 3 we've already had. 1 is scheduled for this week. We have a couple more resumes that are coming in that we will be phone screening as well. They're meeting with internal audit management leadership as well as selected leaders within the business, so to ensure that this is a good fit for our department. As you mentioned, we will be having additional reliance on Deloitte until we have those staff gaps resolved. And on the other people side, we are doing a site visit to Niagara on May 31st. That's already been scheduled for half our team that have not been there yet. And we are scheduling a site visit to Seney in the fall. In terms of process, I've completed my review of the internal audit charter. Justin has taken a look at it. We'll be submitting it to you for review to finalize it. In terms of our initiative for Agile, our Agile team is working diligently on our pilot. We are piloting travel and expense. That audit to do Agile on, they have made great leaps, great efforts to map our process to Agile processes, created a timeline, they're doing sprints, so it's going to be really exciting to see how this pilot comes out and what comes out of it in terms of better client engagement and more efficiency within our audit projects. And for our data analytics, we have a data analytics team. We've done a skills assessment review. We determined that our skill level for our team is really at the basic level. We do have a couple that have intermediate level, but more basic. So we're going to be providing training at my quarterly staff meeting, which is the beginning of June. And then we'll be doing more training in July for actual visualization tools that we use for data analytics. And then on the technology side, The GRC tool, we're still working with risk management to bring in the best solution for an implementation vendor. We have the solution selected. It's just some of the implementation vendors, their price was a little too high, so we wanted to see what they can negotiate and come up with a better solution for implementation, which is key to have success for that implementation to happen. And then I mentioned the enhancements to SharePoint have already taken place. And the rest of the slides are just the appendices to the plan. Any questions related to the NIPA plan?
Anybody, anything?
No? Okay.
Okay.
The next piece is just the canals plan,
Yep.
which is not as extensive, but we do have 11 projects that are on the NIPA plan. 2 are in field work. We don't have any in planning at this point. 1 is in reporting. Expecting this report will go out in May. There won't be any additional in May. There'll be others in June. In terms of reports that we've issued to date, we've issued Canal's payroll, Canal's crisis management. Canal's payroll was improvement needed and related to processing payroll, identifying roles and responsibilities that need to be defined, and roles and policies and procedures. Management is actively working to remediate these issues today, so they can, and we are taking a role in making sure that they are working on remediation.
And you're comfortable management's appropriately attentive and responsive here? They're fully engaged to remedy this on a timely basis?
Yep, we're very comfortable with the process that's taking place.
Okay.
We have no changes to the plan, as you can see on slide 6. And then in terms on slide 7, in terms of status of audit recommendations, we have 12 so far that are open in 2018. We have 9 in 2017. In slide 8, if there's details on the high ones that are still open, but we've been working with management closely on remediating to ensure remediation is on track for Canal's OSC audit follow-up as well as Canal's permit management, and these 3 open recommendations are on track to be closed on time. And that's my status for Canals.
So at this point, from your standpoint, well, there's the typical ongoing integration challenges, no red flags coming out of your Canals processes?
No, not at this point.
Other than the payroll one that you.
Other than payroll, yes.
That you got a yellow flag on, but, okay. All right, great.
And you're still in the process of hiring your own staff?
Yes, we are actively recruiting for the open positions with HR. We meet with them weekly to review resumes and things that are coming through, and putting phone screens, getting them scheduled, and interviewing candidates. So we're actively recruiting.
Thank you, Angela.
Thank you.
The next meeting, any other questions? If not, the next meeting is September 27th, next regular meeting is September 27th. Ask for a motion to close the audit committee meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned, closed.